Throwaway because my sister still stalks my main account. Ever since we were kids, Kayla has been a magnet for trouble, and I've been the human lightning rod absorbing the strikes. When she keyed Mom's car at 16, I said I had accidentally scraped it against the garage. When she flunked her college chemistry class, I secretly tutored her and wrote half her lab reports. When she got caught shoplifting makeup, I paid the security guard for the damaged packaging and begged him not to press charges. Each lie patched over became a fresh crack in my own integrity, but I kept doing it because she was my little sister, and because Mom always sighed, family sticks together. Our grandmother, Evelyn, was the only one in the family who saw through Kayla's sparkle. "She turns crocodile tears on and off like a faucet," Grandma whispered to me once, patting my hand across her lace tablecloth. I laughed nervously, brushed it off, and changed the subject. Grandma never pushed, but her eyes always followed Kayla a beat too long, as if cataloging every petty deception and filing it away under "handle later." Grandma's house was 6 blocks from mine, and after Grandpa died, she lived alone with her Siamese cat, Mocha. I installed a small security system for her last winter. Nothing fancy. 2 exterior cameras pointed at the front and back doors, and a discreet indoor camera facing the hallway where she kept an antique curio cabinet. The setup streamed to cloud storage. Grandma mostly wanted it in case she fell, but it gave the family peace of mind, and as it turned out, captured the exact footage that detonated the powder keg Kayla was busy stacking. Growing up, our family photo albums tell the obvious story if you look closely. I'm the kid with permanent stress lines at 11, hiding a broken vase behind my back while Kayla grins 2 feet away, perfect in her Easter dress. The explanation that year was that I got too excited during the egg hunt. The truth was, Kayla had been practicing her softball pitch indoors, shattering a priceless heirloom. She burst into tears, blamed me before Mom entered the room, and I swallowed the lie because Mom was 6 months into chemo and looked like glass. There was another time in high school when Kayla forged Dad's signature on a field trip permission slip after she'd been grounded. The teacher caught the uneven cursive and called home. Kayla insisted she had only copied it because Dad was stuck in traffic and told her over the phone to sign for him. Dad looked torn between pride that she'd found a solution and confusion at the administration's fuss. I saw the way that incident rewired her brain. Wrongdoing plus quick apology equaled minimal consequences, a math problem she solved for the rest of her life. By the time we reached adulthood, covering for Kayla felt less like kindness and more like hostage negotiation. She would phone me at midnight claiming her card was declined at the gas pump or that she needed cash because a friend had abandoned her downtown. I'd Venmo her, then stare at the ceiling, knowing the cycle would restart in weeks. When therapy came up, she laughed and said counselors were just legalized con artists. Funny, coming from her. Grandma, meanwhile, lived modestly but loved securely. Every Friday evening, I'd bring Mocha a fresh packet of treats and set up Grandma's tablet so she could video chat with her bridge club. She'd slip me crisp $10 bills and whisper, "For coffee, dear. Real coffee, not that burnt stuff." Kayla's visits were rare and transactional. She'd breeze in, snap a selfie of herself hugging Grandma for Instagram, then depart with a vintage brooch on loan for a gala. Grandma would smile but jot the missing item in a notebook she kept by the telephone. When Grandma asked me to install the cameras, she did it gently, as if suggesting tea instead of coffee. She said she trusted me, but neighbors had reported break-ins. I think she also wanted evidence just in case her suspicions about Kayla were valid. Still, she never weaponized the footage while alive. She believed people revealed themselves eventually. Grandma passed away in February. It was gentle. She fell asleep in her recliner during a rerun of Jeopardy and never woke up. We mourned, we cried, and in late March, the family convened for the reading of the will. Predictably, Grandma divided her estate evenly among her 3 children, Mom, Uncle Ted, and Aunt Linda, and set aside equal trust funds for Kayla and me, $50,000 each, released at the executor's discretion for education, a first home purchase, or medical necessity. Nothing life-changing, but a solid start. The kicker was a separate clause granting me custodianship of Grandma's jewelry collection and rare coins until Kayla and I turned 40, explicitly to prevent impulsive liquidation. At the funeral service, Kayla delivered a eulogy dripping with sentiment. She spoke of our matriarch's guiding light, and claimed she would honor Grandma's legacy daily. I watched, jaw tight, as distant relatives dabbed eyes. After the burial, she approached me, mascara still intact, and murmured, "You good?" As though sympathy erased decades of manipulation. I nodded, but in my head I marked a final tally. I didn't know that the next round would come so fast. The will reading happened in a century-old law office with stained glass windows. Kayla kept checking her reflection in the glass, adjusting her hair. When the attorney revealed the conditional trust, she interrupted him twice, insisting there must be additional considerations. Mom shot her a warning look. I stared at the mahogany table and imagined Grandma chuckling somewhere off stage. Over the next few days, Kayla's social media alternated between saintly quotes about grief and glamorous selfies captioned "Carpe Diem." The dissonance was so sharp it whistled. Then came the theft accusation. Within minutes, Kayla launched a Facebook status declaring she felt sick upon discovering unimaginable betrayal, tagging me indirectly. Friends who had never met me posted comments about pressing charges. The mob smelled blood. 2 weeks later, Aunt Linda called me at work, voice trembling. "The safe boxes are empty," she said. The jewelry drawer and the coin folders were gone, along with an envelope of $8,000 in emergency cash Grandma kept for house repairs. Aunt Linda had discovered the loss while sorting belongings for donation. She also found a broken window latch in the back bedroom. The obvious implication, burglary. But within an hour, Kayla texted the family group chat claiming she had proof that I had robbed Grandma's house. Kayla sent blurry photos of the open safe and a screenshot of a text between us where I'd agreed to pick up Grandma's tax documents the previous Sunday evening. She insisted she had driven past and seen my car in the driveway late that night. I had indeed visited Grandma's house Sunday with my fiancée Jenna to collect photo albums for a memorial slideshow. We left at 8 p.m. The next morning, I flew to Chicago for a work conference. Kayla painted that timeline as a perfect window for theft, followed by a convenient alibi hundreds of miles away. Mom, already frayed from grief, began to sob on the phone. Uncle Ted muttered that the police would need to be involved. I felt the floor of my office tilt. Years of shielding Kayla crashed back on me like a wave laced with bricks. She was rinsing the family narrative of her own motive by drenching it in my supposed opportunity. While waiting for Detective Slater, I dug deeper. I requested my phone's location history from my carrier. It showed my device pinging towers along the interstate to Chicago at the precise hour Kayla claimed I was ransacking Grandma's safe. Data doesn't sway hearts as fast as video, but each breadcrumb mattered. I told everyone to pause accusations until I could gather evidence. Kayla doubled down, announcing she had contacted Detective Slater, a family acquaintance, to make sure justice was served quickly. Translation: she was preemptively framing me before I could defend myself. That night I couldn't sleep, and Jenna finally asked if I had anything to hide. The question almost broke me. If the woman who loved me could entertain doubt, Kayla's gambit was working. At 3 a.m., I remembered the cloud account linked to Grandma's indoor camera. I logged in, heart pounding so loudly I heard blood in my ears. The file list showed motion events for Sunday night, and, crucially, for Monday afternoon at 3:14 p.m., after I was already in Chicago. I clicked the Monday clip. Kayla entered through the back door, glancing around with theatrical stealth. She wore latex gloves and carried a tote bag. She walked straight to the cabinet, removed the framed photo that concealed the wall safe, punched in the code, incorrectly on the first attempt, cursing, and on the second try, the door swung open. She dumped jewelry boxes and coin sleeves into her bag, then pulled out the cash envelope, fanning the bills like a blackjack dealer. Her face gleamed with triumphant malice. Before leaving, she stared directly into the lens, probably admiring her reflection, never realizing the tiny green LED meant she'd just filmed her own confession. I saved the file locally and duplicated it onto 2 flash drives. Then I checked Sunday's clip out of morbid curiosity. It showed me and Jenna carrying albums to the living room, flipping pages, laughing softly. We left together. Nothing suspicious. The next morning I landed back home, called Detective Slater, and asked for a meeting. He sounded surprised, but agreed. I brought Jenna, my phone with time-stamped boarding passes, and the flash drive. Slater watched the footage 3 times, jaw tightening. He asked if Kayla knew about the cameras. I said no. He rubbed his temples, then told me he'd be in touch and asked me not to alert Kayla that I had evidence. Detective Slater revealed that Kayla had visited the pawn shop 3 separate times over 2 days, each transaction under $600 to avoid automatic reporting thresholds. She even used different clerks to dodge suspicion. Her downfall wasn't greed, it was confidence in the storybook role she'd assigned me, the fall guy. She misjudged how many drafts I was willing to proofread before burning the manuscript. For 48 hours, the family chat was a dumpster fire. Kayla posted dramatic paragraphs about betrayal, trust, and grandma rolling in her grave. I replied only with short requests for patience. Finally, Slater summoned everyone to the police station Friday afternoon, saying he had new information. Mom begged me to come. I agreed, letting Kayla think I was walking into an arrest. We assembled in a conference room. Mom, Uncle Ted, Aunt Linda, Jenna, Kayla, and me. Kayla wore a black blazer and carried a tissue for non-existent tears. Slater entered, plugged a laptop into the TV, and cued the video. Kayla went pale before the first frame ended. By the half-minute mark, she was shaking her head, muttering, "That's not me," even as her own tattoo, a small crescent moon on her wrist, flashed on screen. When the footage finished, Slater announced he had already executed a warrant and retrieved most of the stolen property from Kayla's apartment. He had also found the gloves and a pawn shop receipt for a gold brooch Kayla had sold Tuesday morning. She was led out in handcuffs. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing, while Aunt Linda muttered a stunned prayer. After Kayla's arrest, news spread quickly in our small city. Local bloggers picked up the police blotter. Someone leaked the footage to a true crime subreddit. Strangers dissected her body language frame by frame, labeling her a textbook narcissist. Kayla's carefully curated online persona imploded overnight. Brands she collaborated with for micro-influencer deals deleted her promotional photos. One caption remaining simply read, "Content not available." The prosecutor's office offered her a plea deal: return all assets and complete 5 years probation with mandatory therapy. Kayla refused, convinced she could charm a jury. She tried to hire a private attorney using the last of her savings, but no one reputable would touch the case without an upfront retainer she couldn't provide. Her ego stapled her to a sinking raft. During pretrial motions, the defense tried to argue the footage was inadmissible due to lack of posted surveillance notice. The judge asked if Kayla lived there. When the answer was no, he ruled that a visitor has no reasonable expectation of privacy in a hallway. Gavel down, motion denied. I wasn't done. Revenge is not merely clearing your name, it's ensuring the perpetrator feels the weight of every lie. Over the weekend, I met with Grandma's attorney. Unknown to Kayla, Grandma had included a conditional clause. If either beneficiary engaged in criminal behavior involving the estate, their share would be redistributed to organizations listed under Grandma's charitable foundation. The attorney filed the paperwork Monday. Kayla's trust fund evaporated, half funneling into the local animal shelter, half into a scholarship for underprivileged nursing students, both causes Grandma adored. Next, I emailed Kayla's employer. She worked as a patient coordinator at a dental clinic, providing the arrest record and video link. The clinic terminated her immediately due to the breach of trust. The landlord of her apartment complex, upon learning she was now unemployed and facing felony charges, chose not to renew her lease. By Thursday, she was crashing on a friend's couch, her phone number disconnected. Some might call that enough, but Kayla had weaponized the family against me. I would not leave emotional debris unaddressed. I drafted a detailed timeline of every incident I had covered up for her over the years: car repair lies, academic fraud, the shoplifting hush money, and sent it to the family with a note: transparency henceforth. The collective realization of how much I had shielded her turned initial sympathy for Kayla into icy distance. Mom's therapy sessions uncovered long-buried patterns. She realized she had invisibly assigned me the role of fixer, praising my reliability while excusing Kayla's chaos as free spirit energy. We began having coffee every Sunday morning, setting boundaries like fresh paint lines on an old road. Mom asked if I could find it in my heart to forgive my sister eventually. I looked her in the eye and said, "Forgiveness is an earned privilege, not a default setting." She didn't ask again. Legal proceedings crawled through summer. Kayla's public defender tried to negotiate restitution for a reduced sentence. but the pawned brooch was never recovered. Grandma's diamond necklace alone exceeded the felony threshold. She pled guilty in September to theft and false report. The judge sentenced her to 18 months in state prison and 3 years probation. In the courtroom, she glanced at me once, eyes bloodshot, but I held her gaze without flinching. She opened her mouth, maybe to beg, maybe to blame, but the bailiff ushered her away before she could rewrite history one last time. The fallout rippled for months. Aunt Linda started volunteering weekly at the animal shelter that benefited from Kayla's forfeited trust. Uncle Ted set up a scholarship in Grandma's name at his community college. Mom entered therapy, grappling with guilt over favoring Kayla's charismatic chaos for so long. Jenna and I used the quiet winter to plan our wedding without drama. On the first anniversary of Grandma's passing, the family gathered at her gravesite. We placed lilies, told stories, and released Mocha's ashes, per Grandma's wishes, into the garden of remembrance. Kayla was 11 months into her sentence. No one mentioned her. Some nights I replay the camera footage, not because I relish her downfall, though a dark part of me does, but because it's a freeze-frame reminder that boundaries matter. Shielding someone from consequences is not love. It's delaying the lesson they'll learn harder later. Kayla chose the collision course. I merely moved away and let her hit the wall at full speed. People on Reddit often ask in the comments, "Do you feel bad now that she's in prison?" The honest answer is no. I feel relief. I feel vindication. I feel like Grandma is somewhere nodding, finally satisfied that the crocodile tears met their drought. The inheritance could buy Kayla new clothes, but it couldn't purchase character. And character, unlike jewelry, can't be pawned when you're desperate. I kept Grandma's coin collection. Each piece still rests in the labeled sleeves I made, mine 16. Mercury dime, 1928. Peace dollar, 1854 half cent. When I flip them under the magnifying lamp, I think about permanence, how metal minted a century ago still holds its shape, while lies corrode fast. I plan to teach my future kids that lesson, using Kayla's story as cautionary lore. The sister who played with counterfeit empathy and lost everything of real value. Yesterday, I received a letter from Kayla. The prison stationery clashed with her looping cursive. She wrote that she needed my help appealing the sentence, swore she had been in a terrible headspace, and said Grandma would want me to forgive. She ended with, "You're my brother. Family is forever." I read it once, folded it neatly, and slid it into the safe with the coins, unopened beyond that first read, unanswered. Because some debts are too big for loan forgiveness. Because the footage speaks louder than her scripted remorse. Because, finally, I understand that protecting the family sometimes means protecting it from itself. So no, Reddit, I won't be writing her back. My loyalty is no longer Kayla's get-out-of-consequences free card. It's a vault, and the door is closed. Grandma's wisdom echoes daily, reminding me to guard truth like priceless heirloom treasures forever.